Hi, welcome to the Village of Buchanan, July 22nd workshop meeting. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. And in case of emergency, please do not use the elevator. Please use the emergency door here or use the stairwell behind the elevator. Do not use the elevator. Thank you. Okay, I am going to make a motion to open a special meeting. We do not normally vote at workshops, but there's something that's important that we need to get passed. And George, I don't know if you want to speak on this. It's going to be a resolution classifying the sewer conveyance resiliency project. I know you've spoken on this before.
If I can,
Yeah.
Jim Thatcher, who's our grant writer for the WQIP grant. In fact, Jim just joined us.
Oh, okay, good.
So, Jim, we're at the resolution regarding the secret for the WQIP. Can you explain to the board and the public why we need to get this resolution done tonight?
Sure. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Jim.
I don't know if you want me to introduce myself, Marcus. I think everyone knows. So I'm Jim Thatcher from CT Mill Associates. I hope you can hear me okay. My office is in an old carriage factory in Glens Falls that was rehabbed. Very high ceilings, so I feel like I'm in an echo chamber. So I apologize for the acoustics.
If you could just get up maybe a little closer to the speaker.
Okay. How's this?
I think it's okay.
I'll raise the volume.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Jim. Speak some more.
How do I sound?
Better.
Okay. I'll try to shout a little bit too. If that helps.
You're good now.
So, yeah, so I'm in Glens Falls. You guys have engaged me over the last couple of years to work mostly on sewer infrastructure funding applications for the village. This year, at Marcus and the board's direction and working with George Palmer, we're going to kind of resubmit, but change a little bit the water quality improvement program application to the DEC from last year. We're going to include the Albany Post Road pump station resiliency upgrades, as I'm calling them, to raise the equipment there from floodproofing, and also the sagging sewer main on Route 9A south of the pump station. I think it's about a 400-foot segment between Tate and White Street that's, I won't say collapsed, but is it at risk of collapsing, according to George, and that would certainly harm your collection system dramatically if that continues to sag or fail. So that WQIP application due July 31st for those two collection system components, aside from what you're doing to upgrade your treatment plant and what you've been doing to upgrade your treatment plant, has the more that you can show that the environmental review, the seeker for that application, even though it's just a proposal, and you're not going to construction yet, but the more you can show that that seeker review is completed, or you've made a determination whether a negative declaration or type 2 or what have you, that's documented, it just scores better. It just makes the application look better, and that in terms of readiness to proceed. So we did last year a type 2 resolution for the village board. Now, let me back up a second. I don't want to take all night explaining it, but you guys know with seeker, with type 2 projects that don't require any further review, you don't actually need a resolution. But the reason I like to draft type 2 resolutions is it puts it in words, and it's an official action you can take to kind of affirm or confirm your type 2 classification, rather than me as a grant writer or George Palmer just saying it's type 2. You know, you can kind of put your official blessing on it, even though that's probably an overkill step. You don't necessarily have to do that for a type 2 action, but I like to have the citations in the resolution to say there are no further review requirements because you're working on existing infrastructure, basically in kind. The pump station is already there. You're not changing the footprint. The sewer main
Just want
on
to make sure we have it.
9A is there and will be replaced or fixed, you know, where it lies for the most part. So you're not doing anything radically new that would trigger more environmental review implications. So that for the public's purposes, the type 2 resolution is to affirm that the grant application for those two components meets or is considered type 2 actions and has no further seeker ramifications, if you will. Later on, if you're awarded funding and you go to start with bid documents and start working towards construction, and if the DEC disagreed with that, you would just do seeker over again the way that they want you to. I don't foresee that happening, but we're at least telling the DEC that we believe that the WQIP project components that you're seeking funding for this year are type 2 actions under seeker with the proper citations in the resolution. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is he done?
Okay.
I'm good.
So we're ready?
Yeah.
All right. I'd like to make a motion classifying the sewer conveyance resiliency project proposed for the 2025 New York State DEC Water Quality Improvement Program, WQIP funding, through the consolidate funding application process to consist of type 2 actions under the State Environmental Quality Review Act seeker. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
We're going to pass a resolution.
And thank you, Jim. I think Jim is going to stay on. Thank you for that review of that. The next is a motion to approve MOA, Memorandum of Agreement between Village of Buchanan, Buchanan Police Association. Marcus, would you like to review that?
Sure. For the public information, the contract with the PBA expired as of May 31st of 25. After a number of negotiations with the police and the PBA and their attorney, I think we got to an agreement that I think both parties are happy with. Just for general information, the increased rates are for 2025, June 1st is 2.75, 26, 2.75, 27, 2.85, and 28, 2.85. Additionally, they got a small increase in longevity. They actually agreed to pay a little bit more towards contribution towards health insurance. They have a number of tiers depending on when they were hired. I don't go into details, but every one of those tiers went up a little bit. We also agreed for new hirees to be a 50% premium, which is the highest rate that we receive as a contribution for new hirees. So that'll be effective as of June 1st of this year. So anybody hired from this point forward, any police officer will have to pay 50% of the contribution of health insurance they call it from cradle to grave, which means from the day they're hired, even after they retire, they have to continue paying that premium, which is beneficial for the taxpayers of the village, that we have to have contribution coming back to the village. The village did agree to provide them with the spouse's health insurance for 5 years if there's a line of duty death, to protect the family from, if some, God forbid that ever happens, at least the family is covered for 5 years, allowed them to go through the grieving process and find what else is out there for them, which I think is a very good thing. The village board has agreed to do that as well. There's a small increase in clothing allowance, which is $25. It's a minor, but I want to make sure the record is on the record. There's a small increase in cleaning allowance. And there is we removed a section regarding EMT and paramedic stipend. None of the officers received that, and there's no plans of them to receive that. Nobody seems to be interested in doing so. So that was removed. We also agreed to include in the agreement a section 7173 of the Civil Service Law that it took almost 2 years to negotiate. That will be incorporated in the agreement as well. So I believe this is a very good agreement. I think it's fair. I think it's fair to the taxpayers. Actually, the percentage increase, they actually were a little lower than surrounding communities they received. And I think they understood their financial condition of the village. I want to thank the PBA negotiating team to take that into consideration. And I think all around is a good deal for everybody. So I appreciate the village board, support on going back and forth with the PBA. And I thank the negotiating team as well. So I think if the board's willing to approve it tonight, we can start doing retroactive pay, and the finance staff can start working on that and get their increases as soon as possible. Thank you.
Just a quick question. There's none of our officers are EMTs
Correct.
now? Okay.
That's correct.
At one time, I think we had one or two. The insurance now, what is it for a single person? Do you remember what it is, a single or family?
1,400
A month?
Okay, for single person?
Yes.
So about a little over 15,000 a year. All right. Yeah, and if you could just, when you get a chance, Cindy, if you could, sorry. Now, when we mentioned insurance, I know, that changes, it goes up. Okay. I'm going to make the motion, Cindy, while you're looking that up.
I'm ready.
You're ready? Go ahead, Cindy.
Single is 1479.53. A month and a family is 3,367.80.
Okay. All right, thank you, Cindy. All right. I'm sure, something the taxpayers should know.
Mayor, before
Sure.
before you make the motion, Marcus, I just want to thank you for taking the time and putting together what I think is a fair agreement
Appreciate it.
between the village and the police. I know in years past, the village expended quite a bit of funds, on attorneys. I don't think we were really reinventing the wheel here, so I think there wasn't too much, movement on either side, just minor pieces here and there. So I appreciate you taking that lead, and I think it's fair for both sides. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the July 11th, 2025 final memorandum of agreement between the Village of Buchanan and the Buchanan Police Association. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Now we go on to our workshop discussions. Jim Thatcher, is he still on with us?
Yes, he's still on. He's
Okay,
muted, yes.
Good. All right, so he spoke about the WQIP application. And Jim, as you know, we're always interested in grants. I see here it says, and other grants. I know there was a discussion with the board. I know Steve had brought this up about the county's Safe Street program. Is that something?
Complete streets, yes. that's
Complete
correct.
streets?
Yep. So Jim, why don't you tell the board, I sent the board an email about some of the criteria to qualify and what the requirements are. So maybe together as a team, you can discuss to the board, what you find out, your background information, and then we can get direction from the board if you want to move forward and what areas they want to even discuss.
Yeah, sure, Marcus. And again, I hope you can hear me well enough, given the acoustics of my office in Glens Falls. This is kind of a cool program because not every county has this kind of funding to distribute to its municipalities. So to the extent that you can take advantage of this program, I think would be unique because again, not every county has these kinds of resources. I don't know how familiar the board is with complete streets as a policy or an ethic out there, but really the idea of making your community, making the village as pedestrian and bicycle friendly and safe as possible, integrated with your current road and street networks, handicap accessibility of crosswalks or visible crosswalks, areas that are prone to fender benders or, bike and pedestrian accidents or injuries, or places where people walk now but don't have sidewalks or don't have proper crosswalks, but they walk there, regularly enough that there should be maybe facilities for pedestrians or bikes. Things like that, I think, are the kinds of things that Complete Streets as a policy looks for. There are ways to do assessments and surveys of your infrastructure to kind of score intersections and trail segments or lack of areas with lack of sidewalks or connecting points. So you can kind of work your way towards adopting a Complete Streets policy if you haven't already. But this program from the county is to sort of play off of those ideals, and have you think about areas where some of those improvements could be worthwhile. Again, to improve safety, or reduce accidents or injuries, or promote more biking and non-vehicle travel, to get people out of their cars and focus more on fitness and walking and biking in a safe environment, integrated with cars, because we're not going to get rid of cars and vehicles altogether. So I think what Marcus put out was some of my thoughts, but also his attendance at the county's last workshop, is to give you some direction on, somewhere in the village where you might have a missing link, with sidewalks or crosswalks that aren't wheelchair or blind accessible yet. They haven't been upgraded to kind of current ADA standards. Or a lot of communities wrestle with crosswalk signals, whether they're beacons or flashing signs or just better signaling so vehicles stop when people are in crosswalks, as opposed to not seeing pedestrians in crosswalks and having a lot of potential accidents. So those kinds of projects, which are kind of small to mid-size, if you think of a segment of sidewalk that's not too long or not too expensive to do, I think this would be appropriate for Buchanan, because again, you're gonna have to float some of the cost of this project if you define a project and are awarded funds. So obviously it has to sort of meet your budget availability and your capital reserves or what have you. But I think that if we can come up with something that makes sense for the community, that maybe we can get some data on accidents or injuries, although you don't want to see high injuries, from a personal perspective, but sometimes that helps justify areas that are considered, somewhat unsafe. Law enforcement sometimes has speed enforcement data about where people are just chronically going too fast, in terms of speed humps or other traffic calming methods. So things like that, if we could put together to support an application, maybe with George's assistance or another engineer that's familiar with traffic engineering, I think you could take a shot at this program. Certainly the September 19th deadline is far enough away that we have some time to put something together for you, or work with you on a good proposal. But it really, I think the ideas should come organically from the community as to what out there are your problem spots, and what your appetite is for doing a project that could be several $100,000 or a few $1 million, which may be cost prohibitive to some extent. So I think I'll stop there and sort of open it up and see what thoughts you have, or what else I can answer for you at this point. But that's kind of the gist of it.
Yeah, so let me give the public and the board a little bit background as well, just to let everybody know, this proposal from the county is a 50-50 match. So the public can know this, the board knows this, but for the public, it's a 50-50 match. The county will pay 100% of engineering, but the engineer has to be vetted and approved by the county. So we cannot use our consultants for the actual design and construction of the project. With regards for the application, we might need Phil Greeley as a traffic engineer, George's time, and Jim to put an application in that we think we get an award from. After that, if we are awarded, then the design and the construction has to be approved by a county engineer, and the county requires, in order for you to get reimbursed for county engineer, you have to go towards construction. So if for some reason we do engineering and then we don't move forward with construction, they're not going to pay for the engineer either. So I want to make sure everybody understands that. And then on top of that, whatever the engineering cost comes out of the county's 50% match. So it really doesn't come 50-50. It might be 40. It might be percentage might be a little different as well. And as Jim said, the deadline is September. So we have to identify the area, get background information. I think the board and I think we all agree that I don't think we have any really dangerous intersections in the village, as far as I know. But there are areas like around Route 9A, Westchester Avenue, areas where we have breaks in the sidewalk pattern. And especially talking to the county, originally they said the state road will not be included. But I talked to them and I said the problem is that the state road is where our high school is. We have a lot of kids walking to high school. We have breaks in our sidewalk on Route 9A. If the board is willing to apply for a sidewalk on Route 9A, the county representative says, apply, but we've had other requests from other communities that Route 9A or Route 9 within their municipality is a heavy traveled road as well as pedestrians. So they said the door's not closed on that as well. So I want to make sure the board understands that you're not limited outside of Route 9A, so that can be considered as well. So we as a team just want to see we have an area in interest. George knows the village very well, and he knows the road structure. He's paved every single road in the village, and
Twice?
plus multiple times. So we discussed certain areas. George can say, would that be a good area? How costly would it be? And we can have that kind of discussion. So there's a workshop. So just want to give you the background.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here, George, because the board has also, the 9A, that small strip for the school connecting, our sidewalks, that one strip. But then again, we also spoke about by the school. There's that one section, it's a little more challenging, that section, to put sidewalks from the school stairs over to the school entrance. But maybe that can be something we could phase in. Because I know Dan has even mentioned across the street there, we have a lot of people that walk on Westchester Avenue and Tate Avenue. And I'm looking at this program and I'm saying, oh my God, Nick Zachary would be in his absolute glory right now because he always wanted to do some type of a walking path on Tate Avenue, which is another difficult feat to do. But so that one section by the school connecting, and the board, we spoke about this once before, I don't think you were here. The school driveway to where their steps go up, where that the traffic light is there.
So fourth.
And,
Yeah. So along Westchester Avenue, we did a similar program.
George, speak up a little bit just to make sure.
Okay.
Get the mic closer. Good.
Sure. We did a similar program with the county where we connected Westchester Avenue where the circle left off to the highway garage. That was a CBDG project, and it worked out well. And to continue down in that direction, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, you got the parks down there that are on Lens Cove. No, I'm sorry, not Lens Cove. Down towards Cortland.
Meehaw.
Yeah, Lake
Yeah.
Meehaw. There's parks down there, and people want to walk in that direction and just be by the lake. So we'd have to look at that closely because there is some topography that that's a challenge to put the sidewalk and a road next to each other. There's a possibility of putting it on the other side, but then you got people crossing back and forth, so that's not really desirable. But there are some challenges there to take down some rocks. And as Marcus said, 9A, we've always talked about, we've applied probably 3 or 4
Yeah.
intermodal, T21, 2 other grants that we applied for through the county to get that corridor going. Every time somebody would come along, like Marcus said, we put a piece of sidewalk there on a piece of sidewalk, and hopefully over time you have a whole bunch of pieces together and it connects. And then you have the AMS project, which is going to connect a good chunk of it.
And Carbone.
And Carbone, but Carbone has that little sliver
Yeah.
that's missing.
That's one piece that I was thinking about.
That's
that we
one
can-
piece.
This can pay for, yes.
And I'm not sure what what is there a max on this grant, or there's no max?
Well, it's 15 million available,
So,
so,
It's a competitive grant. It depends how many applications they get, and they're gonna, if there's accidents and troubled areas, they're gonna focus on those, but they say apply, so it doesn't hurt for us to apply and see what we get.
can we
Well,
apply for both?
so that,
Both
Yes, we
Albany
can.
Post Road, and they
They
can pick?
say you can apply
you know.
to as many different applications, and they'll be rated by the county.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because Albany Post Road is also important, that final piece there. I know when Sandy Galiff, her last year, she did quite a bit of sidewalk for us by St. Christopher's, and so that was a big chunk there. So it's like piece by piece, you know,
Yeah.
that it all gets put
And
together.
Teresa, on
Yeah.
Route 9, in the morning when I came in, I've been seeing more joggers running up and down Route
on
9A.
Route 9?
Yeah, I couldn't be,
On
on
9A?
the sidewalk that we just
We
finished doing.
just did.
Yeah, they're running
Wow.
towards
Okay.
Peekskill, so,
Good.
yeah. So I've seen people walking there, and the sidewalk that we put in next to the gas station.
Right.
A lot of people are using that sidewalk.
that was the missing link for the longest
Yeah.
time. You'd
Yeah.
see people with baby strollers going across in the shoulder for the longest period of time, and that
Yeah.
was the missing part for miles
Yeah.
in both
Yeah,
directions.
it would be nice,
So-
from the village, on the village, to have a sidewalk from Montrose to Peekskill with a connection, safe connection between the two. I think that'll be a nice connection if we can do that.
I just had a few comments on this. First off, I'd like to thank Steve for kind of, getting the ball rolling on this because it caught Steve's attention and it started the discussion. So thank you, Steve. But, some of the other areas that we had discussed previous were maybe this is a way to address the Bannon Avenue and Kings Ferry and the Tate Avenue and Kings Ferry issue.
Could be, yeah.
ADA ramps, I know we're not compliant in a lot of areas on the ADA ramp, so, this could be, this could be a good project if we're able to get,
Combine it all
Yeah.
together, right there.
yeah.
Yeah, the town of Cortland was in charge of, I guess, that section. They did it through a
Yes.
CBDG, again, a grant project. So this could be a piggyback to that.
Yeah.
And maybe to present it to them, because
Right.
they're part of the solution, so
That could be something that we jointly apply
Yeah,
with them.
jointly
or-
Yeah.
apply for. That's another possibility.
But those were the areas that came to mind to me,
Yeah.
so,
I think we're on the same page there.
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, if you give us some direction, that could be another application, we can do 3 or 4 applications. Just want to see what the pick-in order is, so we can start to work with, even though it's in September, we have to gather a lot of data. Jim has probably 100 other municipalities that he's working on, so we got to pick him to get these projects and these projects done, so.
Marcus, do we have
Yeah.
to give a priority to which one we?
No, the
Do you
county-
just throw them all in there and and
Correct.
so, but we're
They-
competing against ourselves too.
Right,
So-
correct.
Yeah,
That's
so they're
correct.
going to assess each one that we submit and figure out which is the one that needs to be addressed on a priority basis.
Correct. You might not get the one you want as a priority, that's
Right.
Yeah, like
You're
George said,
definitely
you're-
not going to get all 4.
Yeah, you're competing against yourself, so you might get one that's not your priority, so it's up to the board to decide how you want to move forward on this one.
They're kind of all important.
So Jim, each one would have to be submitted on its own merit, I guess?
Application, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like you could do multiples, but they should be well-defined and separate. So
Right.
You probably would want to prioritize your own with the chance that if not enough applicants come in or not enough money is going out the door, then you could probably get multiple awards. On the other hand, Westchester County is very competitive. You have a lot of quaint villages down there that
Yes.
seem to care about pedestrian and bicycle movement and
Yeah.
safety. So, some of your neighbors are certainly into these issues. So, I expect it to be pretty competitive. But the good news is it's not a statewide program and it's not a small amount of money spread
Yeah.
across multiple counties. It's just 15 million for your county. So, assuming the county wants to put a lot of pins in the map within the county, then, I think you have a good chance of at least one, if you can identify a decent segment that is likely to get done, engineered and constructed. So not a lot of right-of-way hurdles, not a lot of, public not my backyard issues, hopefully, things that would derail a project. So you want to show feasibility and readiness, so to speak. I mean, at least not readiness, but it's doable, because I think the county wants to see it done at the end of the day.
Right.
And one more point I forgot to mention, which is very important, I forgot until you brought it up. The county wants to see you hold a public hearing on the locations. So we're talking about having a public hearing in September.
Yeah, so we
and
gotta
apply
move.
on the 19th.
Yeah.
We
Because
gotta
they
move.
wanna- the county doesn't want to have backlash
Yeah.
from the public saying, I don't want a sidewalk in front of my house.
Yeah.
So that's a very important aspect that
Yeah.
he brought up that I think the board should know,
Which is
so.
important with one of these considerations.
Correct. So in August, you got to call for a public hearing in September and have your ducks in a row to put the application through, correct?
All right, Cindy, so
Yeah,
put
and-
that on the agenda.
Yeah, I'm
please.
sorry, board. I mean, that's kind of what Marcus is just saying, so sort of think about the low-hanging fruit. If this is, you're gonna put your toe in the water, you know, handicap ramps or intersections, crosswalks, signaling, things that you control or you already sort of maintain or are supposed to maintain could be easier initially, at least for this round of money, than building new sidewalk in front of, you know, affecting multiple property owners where you have no idea about easements and utilities and right-of-ways and obstacles. And George probably knows what I'm talking about, you know, when you really start digging at land records and all kinds of things come up that just gonna become an engineering mess. So just think about low-hanging fruit, given that time is not all that.
Correct.
you're
And
right.
just to let your timing, the 19th is due. The county doesn't expect the project to actually start in 2 years. Because,
Right.
you know, they want to give you time to get your engineer. We got hired their engineer.
Right.
We got to go through that process, you know, scope of work. I mean, our project probably going to be a smaller one than like Yonkers, per se. But they have a 2-year timeline to get the project done, more than enough time to get it done, but the 19th is our deadline.
Okay.
So you're saying to prioritize, so are you saying we should pick one that, instead of throwing in all four, but the Westchester Avenue one is more involved? It is important, but it's more involved.
I'm just going to throw my 2 cents in.
Okay.
I think this is the perfect solution for addressing what was brought to our attention in regards to Bannon and Kings Ferry and Tate and Kings Ferry. It's
Okay.
already existing sidewalks, right? The main question there was the crosswalk, right? Which isn't, it's too wide to begin with, right?
It
I
was,
don't know.
it was 75 feet. We were proposing to narrow it down
Right.
to like 40 feet. So that's,
I think
Make it
tho-
safer,
I think
so.
those 2 areas should take priority. That's just my feeling. You know, 88 ramps, they're always.
That's not as complex with the engineering, because basically, you know, that's done now.
Yeah, you're
so-
working with something that's existing, like he said. You're not, you know, like Jim said, you're not, you know, disrupting properties that didn't have a sidewalk in front of it before.
did the town of Cortland give us any update on where they're at with that? Because they started the
They're not
process.
doing anything. They
Okay,
expected the village to do it.
okay. Because we gave them some surveyor information and they were
It's
gonna.
dead.
Yeah. And then the board had to make a decision also.
Ah, I see, okay. The town board, okay.
Yeah, and I think at the time
Bill's for
it came down to
Money.
monies.
Right,
Yeah.
correct.
So that's my 2 cents.
On
right.
Westchester Avenue, are there multiple property owners that we have to go through to?
Yeah, there's about
Right.
3 or 4.
On,
Oh, yeah.
for going
For
to the
sidewalk?
school,
Yeah.
I'd have to really look. We probably should do something preliminary, just like we
There's-
did
Yeah.
with the other one, to just lay it down on paper and see where it lands, so
Mhm.
you can look at it more closely. It just seems similar to the two intersections Dan mentioned. That way you know how much topography you're dealing with, how much rock you're dealing with, how much whatever.
Yeah, and my issue is with, you know, with the Kings Ferry, Tate and Kings Ferry, and Bannon Kings Ferry is that's an area that's used heavily. I mean, people run that loop, they walk that loop, they, you know,
They
it's
go-
heavy traffic.
Yeah, they go around Lake Miha, they run around.
Well, that's-
The running club goes
That's
around
true.
Lake, and they use
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
loop, so.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thought behind Westchester Avenue, because there is a missing link. So
Yeah.
once you get to the end, right by the school, you have no place to go.
Right.
So by creating a sidewalk there, you connect that loop.
Yep.
And honestly, I mean, it's connecting a school, so
Yep.
what better way than to
Yeah,
to
yeah,
connect
Yeah,
a walkability
that's
to a
another
school?
great, that's another
Yeah.
great.
I mean, that's attractive to
Yeah.
the,
Safety
to the
reasons.
county.
As long as you put the
Safety.
kids involved, that makes a big difference to the
Yeah.
county, yes.
Get you a few
Yeah, and then you would
more
connect the area down to Pheasant
Pheasant Run.
Yeah.
Pheasant
But,
Run.
you know, your initial studies may say it's maybe cost prohibitive or,
Well, that's why I was asking about costs, and Jim didn't seem to think, or Marcus didn't
Yeah.
mention that there's a cost problem with it. So if you had a $500,000 project where you had to take down, you're putting in 250 or to
Right.
50-50 match. But it would be nice to see what kind of numbers we're at and see what lengths and just to
Yeah.
get an idea.
Just to
So
get an
maybe we
idea.
focus on those 3 areas then,
Yeah.
you know. But that's
I
just my-
personally would want to steer away from the state road
Road,
if
yeah.
possible, because
Yeah.
it is a
Or
county
the
program.
permit,
Although they
yeah.
told you that it could be a
The co-op
possibility, I'd rather focus on non-state
Village
roads.
roads, yes.
Yeah, it's not
Absolutely.
sounding like it's a
Doesn't sound
definite
like-
for them.
Alright.
It
No.
doesn't sound like they have much interest
No.
in a
Alright,
state
cool.
road, so.
So, looks, we have consensus for those two areas?
Will do?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm
So-
fine with it.
So, George, if you can get, we start getting together on those two sections, we can talk to Jim.
Actually 3. Well, how do you want to break, like, so you have Bannon and Kingsbury, Tate and Kingsbury, and then Westchester Avenue continuing from Pheasant to,
Fourth.
you know, where the
The
pool
fourth,
is.
the
Yeah.
fourth,
Yeah,
right?
the
Yeah.
fourth.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, well, we can do the same thing we did for the 2 intersections, get the cost estimate, kind of a preliminary layout, and we can share that with Jim too, and see how how well it fits in
Yeah,
the
don't
program.
spend too much on engineering because
Yeah.
It's schematic.
it's
It's just a
get an
couple
idea
hours.
for the application. So,
to
Which
get-
that you already have from our
Yeah.
The other
our
two we have,
discussions.
right, the other 2 intersections, we have a preliminary, like Jim said, readiness is part of your application. So
Yes.
if you have the more it looks like you've put thought into it, the more
Yeah.
it looks like it's ready to go.
correct.
So we're just gonna, schematic.
Yeah.
Well,
And the
their
cost.
engineer might rewrite the entire thing. Yeah.
And do we need any town input on that?
That's all village, within the village property, right?
Well, the 4th Street to Pheasants is, but the other 2,
The intersection is in the village though, isn't it?
the Tate is, but the Bannon is half and half or something like that.
Yeah.
It's
There
the
was
one
one
corner by the dentist office.
Right, that's correct.
That was in question, if I
Yeah, that
remember.
was,
That's
so,
on town property.
correct.
A
Half of
tiny
it.
sliver.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not much.
or quarter, something like that.
So,
If
You
we
want
can,
Jo-
but
you
if
want
we can
George to reach
address
out to the
those
town?
issues with.
Yeah, you know what, because they might be doing
may
an
want it.
application
Yeah.
for complete
and,
streets too.
and take it away from us.
Maybe not, maybe not. We've got some good
Well, part of
projects
it
there.
would be to reach out to the town and.
Right.
And at least let them know that
They-
we're
They may
making,
want to apply for those 2 areas
Themselves.
on their own,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
apply for the other?
And we can make the connection, exactly.
Right.
That's a good idea.
Okay, so I'll reach out to the town planner tomorrow,
okay.
okay?
And then when we
yeah.
have the public hearing, there are people that have said something about that intersection because they walk. So
Yeah.
we'll have to
Well-
put something out to make sure that they come in to voice their concerns. And then we can also back that up in the grant
Right.
application, that there are people that have concerns and, because somebody
To
had told me
support.
he almost got hit
Yep.
there, so.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think Mayor and Marcus and George, if the town were not going to think of this on their own, but there's an area where they could do their own application that benefits both communities. You don't have to submit 3 for Buchanan and totally, cut yourself off at the knees, competing with yourself completely. So if there's a way to have a town proposal, but they cover some joint area that would benefit both, then it's a town of Cortland proposal and a town of, and village of Buchanan, and you're not completely just throwing them all in from Buchanan's perspective. So that's an interesting angle, so
Yeah.
I think that's what we're pursuing.
So Jim, if you can get through the details of the application, see what else you need to start the process together, get it to me and George. We can start getting the data together. I'll reach out to the police. I don't think there's been any accidents, but I can get that together as well. And then we'll have a public hearing at the September meeting, and we'll put and then you can put the application in right after that. Sounds good to everybody?
Sounds like a
That's
game
fine.
plan.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, Jim, the other one was NYSERDA. I saw your email today. When you tell the board members, what you found and the email you sent them today and waiting for a response.
Yes, I'm waiting for a response. I looked at it today. I didn't look at it weeks, when you sent it to me originally, Marcus. I apologize for that, just because sometimes I get into so many different directions. But I think depending on how they define fossil fuel burning power plants, which I think nuclear typically is not
No,
considered a fossil fuel.
Not anymore,
although
yeah.
no, not at all.
I'm not sure what nuclear is considered these days. Some people think
Nuclear.
it's green energy and renewable, and some people think it's terrible. So, I think we just have to wait to see if that's a hard criteria to be eligible for that, or if there's something where, because of the circumstances with Indian Point, which is, it's not every day a nuclear plant in a small village is shut down, and you're one of the few where as a plant exists, let alone is shut down, whether or not they would consider whether they let you be eligible for that program. But I understand the distinction between a fossil, coal or oil-fired power plant that some people want to get rid of, and the impacts of that versus your situation, which is a little bit unique. Because again, not every community has a nuclear facility that's shut down, let alone anybody else besides you. So,
For some historical information, we were known as the smallest community in the world with nuclear power plants.
Yes, so we're now at a wait and see. As soon as we hear back from NYSERDA, we'll let the board know and see what the qualification of that would be. If the board wants to move forward with that one.
Was
as well.
was this the environmental justice grant?
No.
No, this
No,
was
this
some,
is
yeah,
a
because it's some,
NYSERDA.
okay, this is a
Yeah.
NYSERDA
Yeah.
program, okay. So while he's there, I know you had mentioned the environmental justice impact grants. I don't know, Jim, if you've seen anything on this, but I don't think this fits our criteria. They were basically looking for low-income and minority communities historically burdened by environmental problems such as large number of regulated facilities. So
Nope.
we do not fit into that. Looking at the 2020 census, we do not fit into a low-income community.
Right.
Okay, all right. What other grants are out there, Jim? You're kind of on the front line of grants.
So, yeah, so we've tried, I'm still, one of the things that we can look at going forward, probably into next year, depending on your appetite, would be your LWRP with the town. The Department of State offers annual funding for that program. whether
Jim,
you
Jim,
come up with-
Jim, I just want to let you know, we're already in that program
Yeah,
already with
we're-
the town. We're almost at the end.
We're waiting here to hear back from the state,
Yes.
so we're
Right.
pretty far along on that.
Right, so once you adopt the plan, you have the opportunity to go back for grants.
For new
on an
grants,
annual
yeah.
basis or every
Okay.
other year,
Okay.
however you do
Okay.
it, implement recommendations from that plan. So
Good.
it's a club, so when you get in the club and you get your plan in place, now you're gonna think about implementation. So it's not necessarily imminent, or right away, but obviously recommendations from that plan for whatever waterfront areas, downtown areas, trails, things that you want to achieve over time, you can go back and get the same grants that you may have used to do the planning, to now do physical hard construction, bricks and
Okay.
mortar implementation projects. So, again, not on the immediate horizon, but I bring that up because the Department of State likes to see people when they adopt their LWRPs to go back and start getting money to do things that are recommended by those plans.
And one of those grants that I know George is very familiar with is shoreline stabilization. So that's something we did in Dobbs Ferry after the LWP was awarded, and we got grants for that one, for example.
That's right.
So the boat launch that we haven't been using in shoreline stabilization.
Boat
So-
launch.
Hey,
What
Jim,
boat
that's a
launch?
good point.
There
That's
is no
something-
boat launch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was,
Good.
yeah. So
It
definitely
was.
that's a good point. So that could help us on the shoreline in the future too.
Yeah.
Well, look at the parking lot, too. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah. it's going to be a Pandora box,
Yep.
but it can happen. It can happen. There's been so much water under the bridge, but I just want to ask, because there's just been so many grants and so much going on. There's, I'm not sure with the IMGs, the intermunicipal grants, since we worked with the town of Cortland. Does anybody remember if we applied for the IMGs?
There was a reason why we didn't.
Okay.
And the state gave us some guidance, the DEC gave us some guidance, and they said, you've got a better chance with the other programs.
Oh,
that they
okay,
had."
all right.
So that's why we went with WQIP and WEA, from what I remember.
Correct.
All right, I just didn't want to miss out on something, because there's just,
No, and it really goes to the definition of what they consider joint infrastructure. And those projects are few and far between, and they're usually
okay,
tens of millions of dollars that are shared, not
Right.
$4, $5, $6 million. I think
Right.
recent rounds have
Huge.
awarded up to $20 or $30 million for
Oh,
a joint project. So you do have some shared infrastructure, or you could have some shared infrastructure in the future, especially with sewer, potentially with getting people off septic tanks, if you're inclined to do that. But that didn't really fit the scale of that IMG program
okay.
so far.
Yeah, fortunately, we do not have septic tanks here. I think there's only, well, there's one or two, I think, properties that are not hooked up to us.
Yes.
Yes.
Four. Oh,
Four.
Cindy
Four
Sharon now.
altogether. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, good. All right, anything else for us, Mr. Thatcher?
I'll just throw this out there because I'm kind of keeping an eye on it.
Okay.
If you remember the Bond Act a few years ago, I guess the nickname was the Mother Nature Bond Act, that people voted on in November 2023, maybe, that passed. Some of that money now seems to be finally filtering through some state agencies. One of those is State Parks and Recreation. So every year they have a sort of bread and butter municipal parks grant program, playgrounds, picnic areas, pavilions, kind of tried and true park and recreational improvements. But the Bond Act, which again, it hasn't made a lot of press yet so far, but the Bond Act that was passed is giving state parks an infusion of additional parks and recreation money. And there's potentially a round two at the end of this year or into early 2026. That sounds far away, but for me as a grant writer, the longer the horizon, the better it is to get people excited and talking about something versus rushing to a deadline. As Marcus knows, it's no fun when you have stress to come up with everything within 3 to 6 weeks. So I know I've looked at your pool, and I know Marcus and I have had a couple emails about Lentz Cove improvements in a very schematic way. But I would just keep your eye on that Bond Act parks money if that comes out, because that's in addition to what the state normally puts into municipal parks projects. And we tried to look at New York Swims last year, which was a governor initiative for swimming pools. And there were a couple of scoring pass-fail thresholds that surprisingly you didn't meet. So while I was under contract to do that grant, I declined because you didn't meet, you would have failed before we even got the thing in the door on a couple of different scoring criteria, which is odd. Most grant programs don't have that kind of upfront, thresholds that are sort of, are pass-fail like that. So that was unfortunate.
Yeah, I think those programs were meant more for low-income
Correct. It was all
communities, and
low-income,
we,
yeah.
looking at the census numbers, we do not fit that
Yeah,
criteria.
and that's kind of unfair, because you do have criteria like environmental justice and disadvantaged community data in your favor. You do get some scoring benefits for certain programs, but you don't get it on the income side. But to have that as a threshold that, knocks you out at the door is, it's a little, I don't know, I think it's sometimes better to compete on the merits and what's important to the community than just to tell you can't apply. But again, if it saves you time and money not applying because you can't, then then it helps screen projects that way. But the Bond Act Parks money is something we could look at later with Marcus and George, perhaps on things like the pool, if that's still an issue that you have to address someday, something like that.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to update the board. We've had some issues with the pool leaks in the last couple of weeks. We had somebody actually be able to put a liner in to repair it. My concern is the pipes underneath that concrete will start failing pretty soon, and then we'll have a major issue. And then the county department of health will get involved, and it's going to be a Pandora's box when we start opening that up. So an opportunity to redo the plumbing in that pool, I think will be a great savings to the village.
Yeah.
That's been, Bob Wheeler could tell you that we've had leaks for many years. The pool was built, what, in the 70s, I think?
1976, I believe.
Yeah, and then George, it's not just like copper pipe, or it's a certain type of piping that eventually deteriorates.
Yeah, the chlorine eats away at it. It's
Sure.
aggressive. It eats away at everything. So it's only a matter of time. So,
Yeah.
But it's lasted a long time for,
Yeah?
It was
for
built
when
well.
it was built well.
Yep.
And
But
it
it
was-
needs
it-
maintenance.
It needs
And
maintenance.
it's,
And it's
and
metal.
you got to tear up the whole deck to
And
get
the whole-
into the pipes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Almost
Jamie,
50
that would be a
years.
big one for us if you can
Right.
get, if that opens up, that'll be a big one for the village.
Yeah.
Yeah, as well as Lentz Cove. I mean, we got a parking lot over there that's just,
Yeah, that's where the dump was, and I think it's still settling to this day.
Still
And that
settling.
dump was closed when? It's probably 50 years ago again, but,
oh, easy,
yeah.
somewhere around there.
Ay, ay, ay. All right, some projects to work on in the pavilion roof, and, so we have a to-do list. Also, while we're on the subject of grants,
Do you need Jim anymore for anything else?
well, I don't know, Peter Harkins, Senator Harkins
That'll be
grant?
just
No, we're
us.
good,
That'll be
okay.
us.
All right, Jim, thank you so much for your
Thanks,
time.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Jim.
Jim. Keep your eyes open for
You're
grants.
welcome.
Appreciate
Good to
your-
see everyone in
Yeah.
face and
Okay.
sort of in person.
Thanks, Jim. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Appreciate your insight, thank you.
You too, thank you.
Good night.
Okay, so once again, Senator Harkam, each year for each community, he has $100,000 available. And like I've said before Senator Harkam, it used to be the Hunger Games. And it didn't necessarily mean that you would get a grant. I did speak to him at the July 4th parade, and I guess the direction this year, I mean, we can see what we can use it on, but the direction this year, they were looking more for parks and recreation. That's what, their thoughts are for that this year. So, does anybody have any thoughts other than if there's anything than parks or recreation or playground? We are going to talk about playground also under another subject, but it has water and sewer infrastructure. George, do you know about this grant from Senator Harkam, the 100,000?
Not specifically.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
just,
it's the same grant we get every year.
yeah,
Yeah.
so.
We've used it for sewer work in the past and everything
Yes,
like that. too.
we've used
But
it.
But the mayor's right. They want to public facilities, parks. That's what I'm emphasizing on. If you can't come up with that, then you can pick from the list. So it's the board's
Yeah.
decision what they want to spend the money on, yes.
So how about fixing the area where the pickleball courts are?
The old tennis courts.
Yeah, well, now
Yeah,
it's the
I think
pickleball
that's-
courts,
yeah.
and we have that area that floods,
Um,
it cracks.
Yes.
We've
yes,
spoken about that before.
Yeah,
We have a playground behind it that we could probably upgrade a bit.
yeah. So on that one, people who haven't been down there, if everybody knows, there's been issues with George knows, constantly cracking. DPW keeps on filling up, put sand in there, try to seal it, cracks open up again. So there's some kind of drainage problem underneath.
Some
It's
movement.
it's unstable. 2 years ago, we almost couldn't open the summer camp in that area because the cracks were too big. So the DPW filled them up. They're probably to the same size they are again right now.
Yeah, they keep opening because
there's-
I've been
there is
there.
There is a severe problem in that area. So to fix that, I think it'd be great because that we can close that close that issue, and George knows about it. as
And it's
well.
not just for pickleball, because the summer camp kids play
Yeah,
there.
Yeah,
it's,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
needed for that camp.
Yeah, we almost couldn't open 2 years ago with the cracks.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
the village TV'd the pipes, and they're galvanized pipes, and the bottoms are rusted out. And the-
Underneath the court?
Underneath the court, yeah, there's one that goes directly under the court, and there's one that goes around the backside of the court, so it's
And then you
just,
got the hill on the
and then,
water.
they get the hill, and it's not functioning the way it.
Yeah, and
it
that
should.
hill's
No,
all
it
rock,
doesn't.
so
It's
it
all-
just, it's got no place
To go.
to seep into the ground. It just
Right.
runs off and goes in.
And it's eroding away, and that's why
Right,
we
it's kind
created
of-
with sinkhole and stuff like that.
So is ponding
Yes,
in different parts of the area.
because they're settled and the water is just setting in there. So to me, that's a big maintenance issue that's been going on for years. So it'll be nice to have that fixed finally. And then we fix it the right way, then the board can decide, you can leave it as blacktop, you could do basketball, you could do pickleball, you can line it for anything you want. So the idea is we stabilize it, now it's stable for anything you
but
want to do with it.
There's a lot of different multi-use courts that are out there. There's
Yeah.
use for basketball and tennis and pickleball and, you know, all kinds of
You can put all
different
different
sports.
lines in and stuff like that,
I think
absolutely,
we
yes.
could look into something that could be widely used
Correct.
by residents.
And it's interesting, we also found places where if you don't want to line it, you can buy the material that actually looks like a puzzle.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
just
You see,
enter it
you
on.
see 'em at the
So you can-
hotels, you
yeah,
see 'em at
can
the
set up-
hotels and the
so you can set
resorts.
up for a full basketball court, you can set up for pickleball.
Yep.
And that way you have to even line the field. So there are a whole bunch of different options, how the board would like to move forward on it. But that area is a maintenance nightmare for DPW right now.
So George, it's 100,000. You're talking drainage.
Well,
I just,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
you could use up 100,000 in drainage. So,
a second.
well, the problem is you have a fence, so you have to take down the fence.
Yeah.
So you're really doing the fence and the drainage at the same time because you have to take
Yeah.
because it's really narrow behind it.
Yeah,
so to
yeah.
get a backhoe back there to start digging,
That's true.
it's a little tough. So you gotta
And Mayor, just to make sure, not to get nervous about it, as we
No.
discussed, we have the money for fund, in the fund balance.
Okay.
That if the board and the public wants to get this done financially, I don't think that's an issue. That's something everybody sees, that we use it for summer camp all year long. It can be used for other things. I think it'll be a great athletic improvement to the area. New fencing, new material, new drainage, it'll be maintained much better. So it's like a field
Yeah.
of dreams. Whatever you guys want to do
Yeah.
with it, we can get it done.
And then, for years that, at one time tennis was very popular.
Yes.
There were people, we would leave the lights on at night for people to play tennis. And then tennis kind of
Died.
faded
Faded.
away,
Yep.
and that was that. So then that's why, it was just left there because nobody was using it. So now, the world is different now and different types of recreational activities and,
And actually, to add to that, a couple of years ago, we did was it the Empire or the DASNY grant, and we did lights. We did lights on the
Oh, yeah,
tennis
we did all
court.
lights on the pavilion.
And-
and-
and
Yeah,
light-
we redid the lights under the pavilion.
Yeah, so-
And the tennis
and the
court,
tennis
too.
court. So the lights are working.
We piggybacked that,
good.
too. So
Yeah.
it's sitting there waiting to
Waiting
be
to be
turned.
waiting to be used.
It just reminded me that we did the
All right,
lights.
it's-
And Teresa, you're absolutely
Yeah,
correct, things will
something to look
change, but
at.
if we can fix the base,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the issue.
Yeah.
That's the problem. The drainage, because it's shifting everything.
correct.
Yeah, well, just as the piping deteriorates, it just sinks more and more, and that's probably what's
Yeah.
just.
And the pavilion itself has an issue flooding, correct?
Only when some of the drainage lines get a tennis ball in it, or
Clogged?
something gets
Oh,
stuck
okay.
in there.
Otherwise,
Yeah, well, the problem is you're right, but the water coming from the field is not drained properly, so actually, Randy was talking about creating some kind of a little ditch for the water to drain. We should talk about that too.
So
maybe while we're
when it
doing
rains
that
a lot
work, is
off
there
the field,
anything
comes
else we
into
could-
the
Yeah,
pavilion.
because it's pitched
Yeah.
towards the pavilion.
Correct.
Yeah.
So George, Randy wanted to talk to you about doing something with the guys to actually do some kind of pitch or some kind of
A
drainage
swell or
line,
something?
or
Swale?
swale
Okay.
for the water.
Oh, that'd
So
be
we
good.
should talk about that. And you're absolutely right. But when it rains, the water comes right into the pavilion from the field. And
It's
we,
always
And
that-
then
we
it
can
also
fix
always
that.
that
comes
end.
off of those rocks, too.
Correct.
Right.
So it's kind of like a,
Correct. So I
Couple of
think
things there.
I think DPW can do something internally and create something and then be connected to a drain.
geez, George, we're giving you a whole bunch of work here. We just keep going.
Well, we'll give you the, same thing when we did with, like a schematic. Here's where the pipes could go. Here's the cost estimate, roughly what it would cost, and then you take it from there and you say, okay. And we'll, like Steve said, piggyback it with some improvements. I'll speak to Randy about.
Randy, about the field, and we can fix that,
If we can-
exactly.
Yeah, and if there's
the
any
field
way
and
to
the
kind
pavilion.
of expand, even if,
Exactly.
you gain a couple feet on either side.
That's right.
I think it'd be beneficial.
And talk about the playground, I know we only have $100,000, but it would be great to do a poured-in-place material for the playground we have right now, which is the wood chips. But that alone could be $100,000 just to do that. But it's more sanitary for the kids and safe for the kids as well as a playground. And the playground, talking to Randy, has according to our consultant, the useful life is coming about 5 more years. And then the playground needs to be replaced anyway, so.
So
something
we just
planned.
replaced one piece?
Yeah, we keep on replacing pieces
So
as
the
they.
vouchers, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, that actually was a CBDG project as well.
Oh, was
So,
it?
Yeah.
The playground?
The playground was a 50-50 match CBDG project. That little section with the equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
And
was
and just to let everybody know, we don't qualify for CDBG anymore.
anymore.
And I'm not sure if
Why?
you want to
Based
get
on income.
involved in
Oh,
that
income.
So,
CB.
Correct, with the
yeah,
new requirements.
there were
yes.
strings attached to that
Wow.
now.
Yes, there's a
so-
lot of strings attached to that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I'm going to pass to you one more thing. Gallagher Street curbs. Have you been up on Gallagher Street? When those curbs were done, there were several of them. You've seen them.
Yeah,
There's
there were
several of
some
them that
cracks
have,
that we said we were gonna come back and
cracks
do
and
a,
chips and-
a revisit. And we're still holding money on that guy. Was it
I think
Westchester?
we have a little bit of retainage.
We have like 20 grand, I
Yeah.
think, pretty sure. Because these cracks keep coming up. We do a wait and see, wait and
Yeah.
see, wait and
Right.
see. And to
Sharon
see if
knows all
they're,
about
Yeah,
it.
give it another winter.
Too
and
many
we'll be
waiting
good.
and sees.
I have to dig out.
Yeah.
I get some gas in my water.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So
Ah.
they let me create.
so yeah, we should, since that contract is open, have the contractor, Marcus and Paul go up there and go
Yeah.
through the punch list and see where we stand.
I think we'll have to do it
Good.
ourselves. I don't trust him at all.
Or we could have the contractor we have now go up there and have
Right.
Morano.
Yeah, because
up
the
there.
residents have been asking, and not
Yes,
only
sir.
that, we discussed that
Yeah.
in the fall, and it was a wait and see to see what the winter would
We
bring
Wanted to see what the
along.
winter was gonna
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was gonna-
Yep. And
So-
Randy pointed out some areas too, to George
Okay.
too.
Yeah, and again, we'll wait till winter and see what, the contractor doesn't want to really replace it, so. But now that we have a contractor starting up, now's the time to
Yeah.
look at it, so we're gonna
Live
talk
and learn.
about.
Larissa, so going back, do you want to focus on the old tennis courts for that
If the board, yeah, if the board is
I think-
okay with
Is
that,
that
I
you
think that'd be
know.
a good use for it.
So George, we'll start working on that, get
Okay.
the application in, but that's due,
September.
that's
Okay.
due by the end of September, correct?
Yeah, oh,
I think it's just, there's, I think that's gotta be addressed because of the camp, it's, yeah.
Yeah, the kids playing there all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the camp is
You got-
expanded.
You got the interest in pickleball, the people wanna play, and, yeah.
Perfect,
All
thank
right.
you.
Okay, George, I am going to skip over something because you're on the bottom here, change order for Church Street paving project. What do we got going on with that?
So when we originally bid the project, we had alternates in the bid, and when the board approved the project, they approved just the base bid. So we approved the base, we went back to the contractor, we said, can you do better on the alternates? They came back to us, and at the bottom there, you see, it was 70,000, and we got it down to 47,606.
Oh, George, but also DPW, Randy agreed to do some of the work in-house as
Right,
well.
correct. So all that savings is not just changing of numbers and reducing. Some of that savings is Randy took down some trees. The contractor included some painting, line striping that he didn't have to include with the project because the
Randy will
village
do
was,
that.
because Randy's doing it. Trees and the painting were taken out. And then he adjusted some of his prices so that he could come down. So that went from 70 to 47. And then included in that is Todd Travis mentioned that there's a section of driveway at the DPW, not at the.
Sewer plant?
Sewer
Sewer
plant,
plant.
yeah, at the sewer plant that is kind of beaten up and the truck's going in and all in time. So he said, can you, as part of this project, make that better until the plant, so when the plant gets redone, so it'd be something temporary, it'd get taken out, so when the trucks come in and they would beat on it some more, that would get all taken out and replaced. So it's basically temporary asphalt.
And that would be the same outfit, Morano?
Yeah, Morales,
Yes.
yeah.
Correct.
So we included that, and that's why the
And they have a
number,
good reputation.
that's why you
Morano
see,
has a good reputation.
yeah, they're right around the corner
Yeah.
too, so. So that's why the 47 doesn't match the 56 above, because that's the 84, $8,400 for the sewer plant, for the
Okay. Mhm.
asphalt. So, and I know Marcus, when we had the budget talks, you earmarked
We'll do a
100,000.
budget, no problem.
Oh, yeah, so the money's in the budget, in
Yeah.
the line items to cover it. So we allocated 100, there, we only are having, or indicating 56,000 here to approve at the next meeting, so.
Correct.
So we just put that on the agenda for next week?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it's on the bottom there, Dan. Motion to approve the change order on Church
the next
Street
meeting,
Oh,
yes.
yeah, now I see
for
it, yep.
our monthly
Yep.
meeting, the beginning. All right, good. What else, anything else you have for us, George?
If you want to talk on the encroachment, we would,
Okay,
if you want
all
to talk
right.
about, whenever you're ready to talk about that one.
Yeah, we'll do that. I'm going to leave the Lens
Yeah.
Cove, I'm leaving that towards last.
Perfect.
Land encroachment,
So,
possible land encroachment.
yeah, so it is, land, and I'm going to bring it up so everybody can see it on the screen. Hold on a second.
So while we're talking about that, so we were talking to, you mentioned other items, 9A. We were, Marcus, myself, and Stephanie were talking to DOT about fixing 9A. So they're doing all that, no cost to the village, because we found some documents that say, DOT, you own the road, you take care of it. So so all that work you see on 9A
The work they're
is,
doing now.
yeah, it's all DOT work. And we're trying to get them to replace the pipe on the other side of the street at Craft Lane, because that one's compromised too. So that's.
That was supposed to be addressed by AMS, though, correct?
It's in the DOT right away, and AMS, it was there before AMS started. So it's similar to what's
But
happening.
there was something in that location that AMS was agreed upon to fix.
They're going further, I don't,
They're doing the sidewalk on that
No,
side.
I understand the sidewalk, but there was drainage
But
as
there was
well.
drainage on that
Yeah.
side
So
of the
they're-
road too, I
they're-
believe.
I think they're adding drainage,
Correct,
but I'm
yeah.
not sure if they're replacing that.
yeah,
I'd
they're
have
adding
to-
drainage further down the road where there was a problem, as you're going further down towards, let's say Route 9, Route 9, heading towards the Village Hall. There's
Yeah.
additional, when they're doing the sidewalk, they're gonna replace the drainage in that area. We're talking about a drainage run that has collapsed,
Yeah.
that they're fixing.
But
They're
that's-
not doing, not doing work on the other side of the street, which is the work they're doing right now.
Correct.
They're doing work on the side further down, but there is a collapsed line right on Craft Lane that
Right.
the DOT is gonna fix, but they're gonna continue further down. Yes.
But I'll check that to
Yeah.
make sure that
You're
it's
absolutely
not
I know
overlapping.
specifically it was mentioned, I believe you brought it up, or Marcus brought it up,
Correct.
Yeah.
that the collapsed line in front of Kraft was going to be replaced by AMS.
By AMS.
Yeah.
Because I thought
I
it was
recall that
it was
too.
a section
I remember that
further
discussion.
down.
Yeah.
But I'll check that to make sure that, but we pointed it out to them because it's really theirs to
I don't know,
do it. So.
Whoever it is, glad it's being fixed.
It's
but
just, it's
just
too
something I
bad
do
that.
remember.
Yeah, it's too bad it wasn't done before the road was done. You know, I look at
Yeah.
that, it took us so many years to get 9A paved, and there you go.
Yeah, I'm pleased, I can't believe the state didn't look at the drainage system
Yeah.
before they
Right.
repaved. And then we also found out that there's very, very little blacktop on the edges of the road. It's just almost no blacktop and no concrete and just the drainage system. It's, on the
Yeah, I
edge
don't
of
know
the
how
road.
they
it's
missed
unbelievable.
that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So since you brought up Con Edison, real quick, just to let everybody know too, before we get into the encroachment, Teresa, if you don't mind, I just found out that Second Street, which had the issue with that line
Yes.
for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, well, we've been,
They're supposed to be coming, finally, they said they dropped the ball, Con Edison.
I know, I think I've
they-
been asking for 2 years.
Yeah, and the guy who's now in charge, we met with him today.
Okay.
Yep. Tim.
Tim,
Okay,
but we're
good.
talking about Third Street, so we got to update them on
Yes.
Third Street, but before we do, so on Second Street,
Oh,
they're gonna
boy.
come in August
Good.
and do that from curb to curb. So
Oh,
that's,
good.
that's
Wow.
gonna be done.
Wonderful.
And also, we met about Third Street, so I didn't wanna forget about that, so I wanted to give the board the update on Third Street.
So Third Street, we met with the Con Ed rep as well, and we went through the project, and they wanted to do it before August, before the
Well,
end of
I'm
August.
asking for it to be done before school starts.
Before
To get it
school
done in
starts.
August.
And,
Makes sense.
and we talked about road restoration, and after the meeting, we went back, we checked our standards, and they have to go curb to curb for that one, too. The only thing is, they're doing about 370.
About 3/4 of the road.
370 feet, the road is 500, so that balance of 130, that would have to be by the village.
So the
that's-
question would be is, they can do restoration in that area, or we can talk about what what that cost would be, give us the money and do the entire road, and we have to just pay for the rest of the road.
I think that's the better way to do it.
to
Because
Henry.
otherwise, you're gonna have,
Yeah,
you're gonna have
Yep.
that line, and I just,
Correct.
if they
Right in
could
the middle
give
of
us
the
the money.
I agree.
Yeah, so
And then we'll have our contractor take care of that.
that's exactly what we told them. So
Yeah.
George will be working with them to figure out what the cost with that would be curb to curb, and then the remaining we'll have our contract give us a bid price, and we can try to do the entire road. But it won't be, but we have to wait a couple of months before.
Yeah,
we have
before,
wait
to let it settle.
So it'll have to be
So-
probably next year. So we'll have a temporary binder and patch there until next year, and then we'll mill and pave next year. And
So-
include it in our program for next year.
Yeah, so maybe it'll be either included in the contractor from this year or the contractor from next year.
Okay.
So at least the entire length of Third Street will be done.
Good.
Well, thank you
Right.
for your persistence in
Thank you.
following up on that, guys.
George, you mentioned our standards curb to curb. Is that what our standards
Yeah,
mention? I
so.
know that's been a discussion
Yeah,
recently.
it was, and we went back. So I went back today, and I tried to trace the history where we're at. So after we did Tate in 2021, where we did half the road, there was a board meeting. The board said, "Hey, we did half the road. Why don't we do the whole road?" And May of 2022, we changed it to do the whole road. So that was because of Tate. We ended up doing half. So that's when we changed
So we'll
it.
do curb to
going
curb up to
forward-
the area that Con
So-
Edison is working on. So, because George made a good point, if we're doing 100 feet and the road is a mile, we're not going to do a whole mile. So
Correct.
we'll do curb to curb and in the area they're working on.
So in the standards, there's 7 conditions. And there's the condition where we have on Second Street, where you have an individual residence. And in that case, they go over the double yellow line, so that's curb to curb. If they went to just the one side of the street, it's half the street. And that's only because if Con Ed, I'm not sure if they charge the resident for it, to not penalize the resident for, that work, if they're charging them for that. But everything else is, if you have more than 50 feet of disturbance linear, it's curb to curb. So that's what we have in there. And it's been there for the last 3 years, so.
Okay.
I didn't remember that either, George. There's, a
A
lot of water under
changes.
the bridge.
So
Yeah.
that code we mentioned a couple of years ago, every time Con Ed comes up with something, we change it, we change it, we change it. We've changed it, I think, 5 years straight. We changed it because they kept.
I remember that, the whole thing going down because I just got on the board and we were upset because Tate Avenue was just done, that section, and it got
Yeah.
ripped up.
Yep,
That's right.
correct.
And the
And they
reason
didn't
why
go
this
curb
all
to curb.
started too was the
Right.
Bannon Avenue, because before Bannon Avenue was paved, what we would see on the streets in Buchanan, they were just doing patches. There was a patch.
Patches.
Yeah.
And then about 5 feet later, there's a patch. And
Yeah.
I was like, why are we doing that?
That's right. So then we had that conversation back in 2022, and that's May of 2022. That's when we changed it, because of the work what occurred in 2021. So,
So
All right,
for our
thank you,
utilities, the Double Woods, Catherine Street, as we all know, it's been going on for almost 5 years now. Verizon said, again, they called me again, they said that they have the material and they should start removing the Double Woods within the next 2 weeks. And I told them Catherine is the major issue that everybody's been facing with, that has to be removed. So they said that's going to be the priority as well. So I'll give you an update as soon as I hear anything from them as well.
I've been in discussion with the Public Service Commission, and there has been movement. I'm sorry I
Yeah.
didn't bring their email with me, but there has been movement, and of course, it has to start from the bottom up, so the communications have to get moved first, and then the upper level where the Con Edison lines are get moved last, and once everything is transferred over, then the poles can come down. So, but the last email I got from Tom Kesmerick was that there is movement. So, thank God.
Yep, so we're.
You know,
we're
because
see
that's
something.
been something we've been working on for a couple of years, but it's just getting these people to move. It's going to cost them money, so
Correct.
they're not jumping to do it.
Correct. And just to give you an update on the antenna, I talked to our consultant regarding the cellular antenna. Verizon they're actually negotiating right now with Verizon.
Good.
They're hoping to have an application within the next 2 months to apply to the village to go through the code that we have to go through. But they said Verizon is very interested. They finalizing the location. As soon as they finalize the location in the area, they'll be presenting to the board, and then you can go through the process.
But the other cell company, didn't they already have a few people on board, including Verizon? Didn't they already have?
We never saw the formal application.
Okay,
They
you
say
didn't
they
see
did.
it. Okay, yeah, you didn't see the
yeah,
actual.
so-
Okay.
so-
That's why I said it wouldn't have been difficult for that to
Exactly.
happen if they had already were
Exactly.
interested in
And our
that.
code requires them to have a signed agreement with a carrier before they apply to the village.
Okay.
So that's where they are right now. So
Because
just-
everyone's asking about the cell service,
Yes.
so I said, it's coming, it's
Yeah,
coming.
yeah, exactly. All right, so now the encroachment. Let me show you.
Can I just ask George one other
Sure.
question? On Third
Sure.
Street, Lower Third Street. Remember, we had an issue, did we do a swale there? It's just, I'm just thinking about it now. Remember, there was a property and it was right off of their
water.
driveway.
Yeah.
It was all crumbling. I don't remember.
So Bob Wheeler brought that up about 2 years ago, and then the property owner that owned the property was doing work on the property and was putting some type of driveway there, or changing the driveway. I think we were talking to Peter about that. I'm not sure if
I haven't
that
heard anything.
all got finalized, if they ended up, because if they put in a driveway, it kind of ends
Taking
the
care of
whole
that.
problem.
Okay.
But I have to speak to Peter about, make a
Yep.
note of that. Speak
All
to
right,
Peter
yeah,
about
just came to my mind now. Okay,
Lower Third.
okay, I'm sorry, where
Yep.
were we?
So on the screen right now, this is the area I'm talking, doing the research, I realized that this property belongs to part of Village Hall. When we bought the property from the school, it was actually on the original deed. So it looks like this was possibly a walking path for the kids to get to the school.
No, it wasn't.
No?
I'll guarantee
No,
my
no.
life on it,
Yeah.
no.
So-
We were
Like a
locked
walking
down
path.
here. So
Interesting.
the whole
Yeah.
schoolyard, there was no exit out here.
Yeah.
It was all fenced in. The
Over
up
here
front
too?
was fenced in.
Yeah.
That
That
was
was their
fenced
open.
in. Yeah, they didn't let us out at all.
So the situation is the property.
That's not a paper street either?
Nope, not paper. It's part of the village property. It's-
Really?
yes.
That's
So
strange.
actually walked it. You can actually walk from Village Hall to Westchester Avenue if you wish to. Actually, it's less steep than where the house is next to it. So I
Okay.
did speak to the property owner. They said they know it was village property. They said that they believe they had the right of way to go over that. So I asked them, do you have any kind of documentation? They say they don't. They get back to me on it. So I told them the problem is that it's a liability to the village, that we don't have an agreement with them to either to use it. We're on the kind of a license agreement. It's similar that we had the circle with the people that wanted to use the village property. So they said they'd be willing to consider buying it if the village wants to sell it to them, a license agreement, or a couple other options. The village can tell them over here, they can cut their fence and go to the backyard and still lose the village land. They can come around here and go to the back of the property if the village wants to maintain this property. So I'm still trying to get different options to give them access, because I do agree the owner of the property is the older lady, and to walk from the front of the property, the stairs are pretty beat up. The only way she can get to her house is through the back of the property, just like the people who live here in this house. You know, as we all know, they park their car on the side here, and they access through the back. So we can get them access here, we get them access this way, you can.
Well, they're parking their cars in
They're
that
parking-
spot right now.
There's one car that has not moved for years. Tires are flat, no registration, no license plate, and it's been there for years. And they parked 2 other cars here. So if the village board wants to sell them the land, lease them the land, tell them that either they can access the back of the property and put their cars in the back of the property. It's just trying to make sure that we all understand the circumstances, because right now it's village property. If something happens on that property, the village could be sued, even though it's been like that for as long as everybody
Oh.
can remember.
Yeah.
Same thing, we had the circle where the people are parking at the property that we have on White Street. And then we finally had an agreement that, Stephanie worked on for a couple months before we got a license agreement for that property. So I'm bringing it to the board's attention, and I did speak to the owners, and they'll be willing to discuss options with the village. So that's where we are.
So how did this all come about?
I was just looking at the village maps. I was looking at village properties throughout the village, and I saw, wait, we got looks like a tongue sticking on that side. And then I looked out the window, and I saw people parking their cars there.
So the only issue, you have another property owner that's close there.
He has a driveway, this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a driveway.
Yeah, those, there's like 3 properties there that
Yeah.
are, well, she's not landlocked. That one's not landlocked.
Correct.
But there are others that are landlocked.
But the only ones that have been used in this property is in this
Yeah,
house.
because the car's
So-
parked there, yeah.
Yeah, and the other
So-
property's not the village's property, correct?
No. no,
Okay.
No. So just want to, bring it to your attention.
So we have to address that, though.
Yes.
Because there is a liability.
Correct.
If I remember correctly, there used to be a gate there,
I think you're
I,
right. Yeah,
I
you're
remember
right,
seeing the
yeah.
gate there, and that gate somehow was
and
taken.
they took it off.
Correct. Correct.
That's going back to when I was probably 10, 12 years old. but
Yes.
There was a gate there.
That's-
There was like
So the
a
village
dual
could
gate.
say, you could auction it off to anybody that wants it. You could sell it directly to them if you want. Your village has the authority to sell it to them directly, get an appraisal, get a survey. Like, we did a survey and we did a survey for the other property to identify the area.
Well,
And
they did it.
They did it.
They paid for all
They
that.
paid for all that stuff, and then they leased the property for the village, so that's
So-
an option.
I don't remember how that, although it was a very long process, how it ended up. I know it was a lease agreement with
It's a
them.
license agreement.
A license agreement with them. They provide insurance that covers the village. So
I think
I
we
think the
default
cost
to whatever
was minimal.
Stephanie thinks is the best
But I
route to
think
go.
the insurance for those people was,
And that's
the
what happened
insurance
to this
was
other
a
person.
difficult.
yeah.
That's what stalled it
yeah.
out a bit. The
Right.
insurance rates they were getting were just insane. Mm-hmm. But they paid for it. They
They
finally did it.
they finally did
That's
it.
what took so long. They kept trying to
I
get.
don't, they never
There's-
told me what the amounts were, but they said it was excessive, but they said, but they finally, whatever they did.
There's
they-
no other way for them to possibly apply, hold harmless again, with the village, or just add it to their policy or something that just makes it an easy,
I think the
it's
problem
been
was
used
without the
for
license
40.
agreement, they couldn't they can't insure other people's property, so they have to have authority
The
over the
insurance is
property.
a problem.
Yeah,
That's what
they have
stalled
to
it
have,
out.
they have to have authority over their
Yeah.
property, or they get insurance, to extend their insurance over.
Yeah.
But then if the village sold that, what would you sell it for?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or can the village in the future use that as an entrance or an
Entrance or,
exit?
yeah.
out
Right,
of
yeah.
it?
And it's wide enough for a car to drive to
Yeah,
Westchester
yeah,
Avenue.
it's
actually.
But
And you
where
could
you,
drive
where
it.
you come out on Westchester, it's so dangerous.
Okay, it's a blind spot.
I don't see how you could use
Okay.
that as a, a
So
go
that's
through.
not an option.
By going through, if the village wanted to sell it, I could tell them, do a survey, get an they'll give us the money to do the survey, we'll do it. We'll get an appraisal, they'll pay for it. They'll come with a price, and then if the village wants to sell it, we can sell it to them. If the board wants to do that direction.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
what
get rid
would
of
we
it.
use it for? We can't really use it.
But here's the thing too, I don't want to inconvenience the homeowner either, and especially from the standpoint when it comes to the licensing agreement and what you said, what they went through with the insurance, because what did you do? You asked to be named as an additional insured on their insurance policy? There you go, there's the problem. They're not gonna wanna name an entity, especially a community, okay, a village or a town, as an additional insured on a homeowner's policy. They just don't like to do it.
Why don't you just let them park in their lawn if that's what they want to do?
That would be really the easiest,
And then you
but
keep
then we,
it,
we
and
should
they're not on it.
maintain that property going forward, keeping it cut,
It looks
that would
nice.
be-
It's very green.
Yeah, yeah.
I was looking at it.
So,
today.
but yeah, could they not take down
Their
a
fence?
section of their fence or
Correct.
their whole fence?
Correct.
And
Just-
then
just actually
just-
neighbors next
He
door.
told them that, right?
Yeah,
Didn't you say
yeah,
that to them?
No, I tell them we're gonna talk to the board about different
Okay.
options.
You and I talked about it.
Yeah,
That
we
might
talked
be
about
the
it.
simplest
Yeah.
option.
Both
I-
the-
So
Yeah.
they don't have to
Like
pay
to do
anything?
whatever.
Yeah, 'cause it's a little
least
too-
inconvenient.
Let's
for
keep
the
it simple,
Yeah.
property
you know,
owners.
let's
That's
not
probably
make
the
this.
simplest. It won't cost
Yeah.
them anything. Well, they haven't taken
Yeah,
it.
let's make
And then if
this
she's
simple.
elderly, it's probably easier for her, instead of
Mm-hmm.
parking to the left, just to park like
Yeah.
right behind her house
And there's
too,
not a
you know?
gate there? Is there still a gate?
No, the gate was removed.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So they're not
Who
gonna do
knows where that went?
So they can take different options. They can go down where they are right now, make a right,
Right.
and get on the property, and don't have to take down the gate.
Mhm.
There's a tree in the way, they might have to be taken down.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
take down the gate, and they go straight down, just like their neighbors are. They have a sliding gate, and they drive right into their property.
Yeah.
So I can take that
that's
back to them
option.
as an option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And will that be written up so that the village shows that they took action?
Well, they won't be able to park on that slip.
They won't be able to park
there
on
anymore.
that strip
But
of
how,
land.
what's going to prevent them from parking there?
They'll get a ticket. They'll be trespassing on village property. They can be towed away.
Well, if they have different parking, I don't think that'll be an issue going forward, I think.
Yeah.
They
But
might
have
be-
they been using it?
don't wanna
Have
hurt
they been
people
using it
either,
now?
you know? They're
Have they
elderly,
been
you know.
using
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
area
They'll
now?
use it every day.
So they're using it now?
Yeah.
All right, so
Yeah.
just because we're going to tell them don't use it, that would be valid? That will protect the village?
We have to tell them not
Yeah.
to use it. We have to have them agree with us that they're not going to use it.
Correct.
And it
then I
has to
would-
be in writing, is what I'm asking?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to
But
know.
if they-
And
but-
I
then
thought
when
this
they're
was
off-
going to be an honor system.
No.
Okay, okay, that's what I'm
No, no,
checking.
no.
And then when they're off, we could, thank them
Yes.
for doing that and remind them
Right.
that if they park there again, they're going to get
Yeah.
a ticket.
And you
on their
notify the
property.
chief so the chief can monitor
Yeah.
You
it.
see it every day.
Exactly.
Everybody drives by
Yeah.
it every day.
But,
Exactly.
All right.
but let's be a little
nice.
empathetic and,
Yes.
and put ourselves in their
Elderly.
situation and try and work
Yeah.
the best option out.
That's what I
But I
That's
would let them know that that's our intention.
Absolutely,
To be
no one's being
amicable and-
insensitive, I don't think. We're just trying to
Yeah.
make sure that everybody is protected. That's it.
But I think it would be a better option for them in the end anyhow.
That, yes,
She's
I agree.
elderly, instead of walking from all the way to the left there, then to her back door, she's right there.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
No.
Yep.
let's just try and work with
All
them.
right.
Yeah.
No, it's what-
You got the info?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we
Great,
got-
thank you.
All right
What
there.
else do we have?
Do we need Mr. George for anything else? Oh, George, I'm just gonna,
He was almost out the door.
George, you need to run when you can.
we're gonna have a discussion on handicap parking in front
yeah.
of Craft Lane, but it's almost right across from where the entrance to AMS is. We have another elderly person who is,
Well, she's further away, her driveway
Yeah.
and her house is further up the road. If anything,
I
it's
see
right
that.
across where the trailer is. That's where she is.
It's not the first house, it's the second?
The first one is an abandoned commercial, is the house behind that.
Oh, okay.
Is the house behind that.
so, but I drove by to look at it, and if there's some way, even if it's, I don't know, that's why I'm asking you.
Is this the one that goes down?
Yeah,
No, no.
she's got that driveway that goes down, that's
Oh, okay.
Mrs. Rudy.
Yeah.
Oh,
And Teresa, I want to make sure you know, to put on the record too, the police department has talked to all the counselors, AMS.
All right, good.
Nobody parks on her side of on that side of the street.
Good,
Just to let you know.
that's good. You know,
So-
because she's an elderly woman, this is difficult for her, what's going on. She has spoken here,
was
but
a
then
little
again,
vocal.
Yeah.
she's,
Yes.
so she's looking for potentially to be able to put a handicap spot on her property or on the side of the road, or, because she does, I saw today, she does have a ramp to the left of the house, but for her to access from where her driveway is to come up to her front steps, it's like I think she's gonna be almost like wheelchair bound soon. So how do we try to, work something out? I don't know if it's gonna be, I know you're not supposed to park on your front lawn. We don't have anything in the village for specific handicap parking on streets for people. In the city of Peekskill, on their streets, they'll have a specific handicap area with a sign there. We have a lot of elderly residents, and not everybody has flat houses, and, so it's kind of a complex,
Is she just looking to park in front of her house?
I think so, but to be able to, it's handicapped, so she's gonna have to have some type of,
So I just wanna say, I'm sorry.
I just want to show.
Go ahead.
yeah, I'm just throwing things
No,
out.
no,
I'm just
no.
trying to work through
I drive
this.
by there almost every day. Nobody parks in front of the house, so.
Nobody parks in front of the
Never.
house or not in the driveway? 'Cause
Oh,
she-
not
Not
in
in
the
front.
driveway. In
Okay.
fact, she put her garbage can and sign is no trespassing in her driveway.
Good for
So
her.
So she doesn't even use her own driveway. But
Okay,
in front
well,
of the house.
she can't, because she's handicapped.
Correct, but in
Yeah.
front of the house, and on that whole strip, on that side, nobody parks there.
Well, I want you to know that the chief has been monitoring that area.
Okay, good.
And he is making sure that no one blocks
And just
her,
let you know,
the front of her home.
Yeah, I spoke to her today, and she said the same thing. I said, Mrs. Rudy, nobody parks on that whole strip of land in front of your house, so what is the handicap spot gonna do for you? Since nobody parks there anyway. And if you get a handicap spot, if somebody comes to pick you up, they're not handicapped, and they don't have a handicap sticker, then they're illegally parking a handicap spot.
And is it to park there permanently, or is it just to pick her up and bring her
Well, I don't
and
think
drop
she's
her off.
driving
That's what I
anymore.
mean.
Yeah, I don't think she's
So
driving anymore.
could a no
No,
parking
she's not driving.
sign
Yeah.
Why
solve
doesn't she
the
go park in her
problem?
driveway?
Maybe.
If she's not
That may
driving?
be
She says she
easier.
can't.
Somebody could put it there if she's never driving again.
First off, are we even able to just dedicate a handicap spot on a
That's the
public
whole-
street?
That's
I
what I
don't know
mean.
if it's legal.
Could you just put a no
Conversation.
parking from here to the curb? Or, you know, here
We can
to,
no park, but nobody parks there now anyway.
Well-
Which means people who are picking her up, if they park in no parking zone, they can get a ticket.
well, they're only there to pick her up
Yeah.
and drop her off.
Yeah.
I mean, her concern is that there'll be a car there and that this, I'm assuming van or whatever it is that's picking her up will not be able to
It just never
be
happened.
near the ramp.
I know.
understand it never happens, but it's a
Yes.
concern.
Yeah.
We could do no parking from the corner to her driveway if you want to do that. Doesn't affect anybody, but nobody parks there anyway.
George,
I
when
mean,
you're
I-
out and about, you just, your thought,
So we have a similar situation on Rockledge where the person past Gallon Measure has the no parking sign. Same kind of thing. you know,
Right.
No parking, handicap parking, or whatever they call it.
Oh,
So
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
You do have it.
You're
It
right.
does
I forgot
exist
about
in the,
that.
in the
Maybe
village.
that's
And
the
that,
solution. I don't
that's,
know.
so you're not setting a
A precedent. yeah.
precedent.
Right.
So, and that person has a similar situation where they're, they get dropped, they have someone drop them off, pick them up, the whole kind of similar situation.
So that's on Rockledge?
Rockledge, right after Gallon Measure on
Yeah,
the right.
On the
Okay.
right.
The,
yeah.
the sign is a little faded,
What
but
does the sign say?
I
It's
think it
handicap
says
parking.
handicap parking or no parking or I forget what
think
it
it's no
says,
parking,
something
right?
like that.
I forgot all about that.
Because I
yeah.
parked in it and she yelled at me.
You're gonna get in trouble.
We were there, and I wasn't even really in it. I was just kind of like pulled up to it, and we were meeting for Gallon Measure. And she goes, well, I know you're close, but you're in the hand. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll move it. So I moved it, so I know it's there.
Don't be causing any trouble here.
Yeah.
So what's the final verdict for this? How will we
So
address
either-
it?
Either some signage sounds like
Okay.
some appropriate, whether it's no parking or.
Yeah, I think.
That's fair. That's fair to make it
Yeah.
easier for her.
All right.
For her to pick up and
and
I'm
drop
not really understanding what she gains by that, or if it, you know.
Well, she
allow-
can't use her driveway, so,
But I
you know,
mean,
it's
front of
like
her
Steve is
house,
saying, what is,
but it's in
are
front
you
of her house.
improving
The
the
way
sidewalk?
it sounds is
or-
that she's concerned somebody will park in that spot,
Spot.
and then
Okay.
when somebody comes to pick
Yeah,
her up,
I think that's-
she cannot. So if we can
Okay.
eliminate that concern
Yeah,
with
that's-
having no parking,
Put 'em
Signage?
I think that's
Signage, yeah.
yeah.
That was easy.
Yes,
There
that's
we go.
all. You just bounce around the ideas and
So-
come to a resolution.
Then I say we see what the sign says on the one in Rockledge and have Randy order the sign. and-
Teresa, do we have to call for a local law to create back on the code?
We might have
would, right?
to. We
Yeah.
might have to.
Yep, so we can
For
call for a
one?
public hearing.
So is that what?
Well,
we
I
did?
don't know how we did the other
I
ones.
don't know how
I
we did
don't
the other one
remember.
either.
How long ago was it?
I could ask the
She's been there
homeowner.
for a long
Yeah.
time.
Probably the easiest thing is just do a regular no parking from here
Then-
to
then
the corner.
That would do the
But the
same
police
thing.
are gonna say they can't issue them tickets, but there's nothing in the code.
No, exactly. No, we'll have to do it in the code, but I'm saying, you know, regardless of what this old sign on Rockledge says,
Yeah.
let's just put a no parking sign from here to the
You need a local
corner
law to put
and
a
codify
parking
it.
sign up?
This, well,
You need a local law?
That's what they're saying. I don't remember doing one anywhere else, but.
We'll have to look into that.
When we're talking about
yeah.
no parking.
All right, well,
Yeah.
we have to look in how to, what's the right way to do that.
We're on a path.
Didn't you just
Yes.
create that in the
That-
code for
That
the,
whole thing? Did we
Right.
do a local law though? Did we ever pass it? We
No,
stopped
we
it.
stopped it, yeah.
Yeah, because nobody wanted to do it, right, afterwards?
So we can
It's probably
take, we
written.
can take a measurement from here to here, call for a public hearing,
give it to
and
me.
get it done.
yeah.
Okay, good.
Just give it to me to put in the law.
Yeah,
And then the only other thing I want to mention about parking, I've had a few people come to me that are handicapped, and they can walk, but they have breathing issues, et cetera, et cetera. So I know we've been talking about this for a while, but at the pool, is there any way we can at least have 2 handicap spaces up at the
Up
top
top.
of the pool? That's,
That's tight up there, isn't it?
well,
It
you
is.
can get about 3 or 4 spaces, but if we could at least have
tight.
2.
That would
Yeah.
be
The
fair.
only issue with that would be the delivery of the material. If they're parked up there and we have delivery of the chlorine and the chemicals, the tanker will be in the turnaround.
All right, well, let's
Yeah. Unless we
look
do
at
more
that.
parking. I mean, George, we could look at that too.
We can look at
I
that.
just,
We can look
just,
at that.
you know,
already have it,
you don't
the
need 10
tanker.
spaces. There's a few people.
the top of the hill.
One or two,
To walk up
you know,
that hill
try to
and
accommodate it.
You're having
you know.
breathing problems, it's not happening.
No.
So.
You gotta look at the turnaround for the tank, for the tanks.
Yeah, it's, Dan said it's tight up there.
It is
Yeah.
tight
What
up
I
there. I
remember-
remember it always
I
being
think
tight
only
up
two,
there.
only 2 or 3 cars fit up there
I think
now.
2 cars fit up there,
That's
so you'd
it.
have to expand and go somehow into the grass
Well,
area.
let's
we
make
could
it
look and
look
see,
better.
yeah.
Yeah, take a look at it.
So George, another one we
Or
can look
Randy.
at.
All right, George, put that on your to-do list.
Handicap parking.
And on it goes.
Parking.
Okay, so I don't know if you'd be interested in this, George, but Holtec is going to be, and I mentioned it before, is going to be doing some surveying. You're going to see at Lents Cove. We have talked about this before, about the baseball field. I would like to talk to the Recreation Committee. I'd like to put this on the agenda further. And also the Little League team, you know, and just, you know, we all have a discussion on this. They have offered, you know, because we've been talking to them about, you know, the property from second base onto theirs, you know, to restore the field. So they are willing to, they have offered to renovate the existing diamond area, grade the infield, and install clay. Install bases and rubber mound for pitchers and catchers. Supply and install benches for the home and visitors. Supply and install the bleachers, a 3-row bleacher for home and visitor, the backstop, and chain link fences. So they have already, they're just zipping right along. I said, well, I got to talk to the board. So
I would love to see that field restored to what it was, a
Yeah.
baseball field.
But, you know, I don't think for the adult, Dan, I think those leagues are kind of a thing of the past. But I know they have difficulty, the baseball teams, the little leagues, the high school. So just in thinking, I'm just going to throw this out here, maybe the field behind the highway department could be used for the little guys, and maybe for the other, a different one. Steve, you know a lot more about the little league fields and stuff than I do. You know, maybe.
Yeah, there certainly is a need for the larger fields, you know, in the area.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but there's scenarios where you could have, you know, multiple different size fields in one. So I think it's definitely something we should consider.
Yeah, I just thought that was very generous of them to,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely, because
you know.
that's not a small undertaking.
No.
That's
Not
a
at
pretty
all.
big deal to redo that whole diamond and
Yeah.
with clay and fencing and bleach, you know, small sets of bleachers and
Drainage?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna
Oh,
have to
there's
do
a
the
lot.
whole shebang. So, George, you're gonna have possibly another project on your, sorry, George.
We just did a field, and you're upwards of like
Oh, yeah.
$700,000.
Yeah.
Just to
Easy.
mess around with fields and clays. And
Yeah.
It's a science and
Then
an
you
art.
start looking at turf as an alternative.
Turf, yeah.
I mean,
If they
go
do-
put up a
Yeah,
whole.
they have
If they do the
offered,
turf,
yeah.
it'd be a lot cheaper than we did.
Mhm.
It'll be half the cost.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know where the cost is gonna go, but, you know, they had also mentioned something possibly about a small playground, since they're doing that. So that's still in the wings. So we might be able to replace
And this would
something.
all be funded by
Holtec, yeah. Yeah, why not?
Wow.
So
Wow.
we'll see. I don't know what their cost estimate is compared to what George's is, so I don't know, so.
Since you're talking about Teresa, the other thing is we have no bathrooms.
That was
Yeah.
my
Well, we have the porta
thought.
potties.
Porta potty,
We
yeah.
have the
Yeah.
porta potties.
Yeah.
Do we still have them? I didn't see them this
They're
summer.
supposed to be there. I'll double check.
You know, I drive
Make sure
around
that they
every
take 'em.
day. Let me tell you a story. I drive around the village every day. I went over to Lents Cove. There's a guy over there cleaning his car out, filling up our garbage can. And I go, excuse me. I said, you know, please don't leave your garbage there. And he's like, he got really mad at me. He starts yelling at me, and he told me, it's none of your business.
Joe called the cops. Yeah.
I said, what? I said, yes, it is my business.
Yeah.
I said, where do you live? He goes, I live in Peekskill. I'm in Peekskill. I said, no, no, you're not. You're in the village of Buchanan. I said, please do not leave your garbage here. I said, I took his plate. I said, if I see your car again, we're going to have you remove the garbage and you'll get a ticket. But he was very adamant. He got so angry at me. He's doing something wrong and you're
Right.
yelling at me. I was like, okay. So I think that's what our problem is over there sometimes, where the garbage cans are so full.
Oh,
that,
absolutely.
You know, we have people dumping.
Yep.
Okay, George, I think we're done with you finally. Thank you.
Run, George, run.
Appreciate, George. Appreciate
Thank you,
you.
George.
Take care.
Is there any timeline with the field?
Well,
Whole tech, are we ready
yeah,
to?
we're gonna talk and,
Yeah, I would love
see
to have,
for the
some of
spring.
the youth groups, of
Yeah.
course, Cortland National Little League, the softball, even
the high school,
Right,
yeah.
the school district,
Yeah.
there's a lot of interested parties
Yeah.
that would have a lot of input.
And you know what's a shame? The peak scale field, they don't
They don't use it anymore.
that anymore. I guess
No.
their little league just ended.
Correct.
But the Cortland one, Steve is involved with the Cortland Little League, and they just, they're doing well. They
Yeah.
have a lot of kids involved in the program, which I think is great. To keep kids involved in sports is very important.
Yeah,
All right, good. So, yeah, to be continued.
great.
The discussion, the next is including Metropolitan Commercial as an investment bank. Who do we have?
Cindy.
We have Chase now as an investment bank?
Yeah.
We have Chase or?
Go ahead, Cindy.
Okay. All right, Cindy, it's your turn.
Okay, so we would just like to include them so we can put some money in their bank for another investment. We do very well with NICLAS, and their interest rate is a tad bit higher,
Okay.
so we would like to be able to do that.
Well,
Cindy likes investing and getting money.
I do, every penny, right,
and it's
Dominic?
I've never heard of them, but they're a safe.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, White Plains,
Okay.
White Plains signed up with, they gave me a list.
Okay,
of
yeah, that was going to be
municipalities.
my question. Is
Yeah,
there any
They're
other municipalities?
Located primarily in Manhattan, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
All right, I think that's a
And
no-brainer.
just put a little bit of
right?
money in there, just give them more
Yeah.
interest, that's an option, that's all.
Yeah.
I have it on the agenda.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Cindy. I just have a few things. I was contacted by our county legislator. There's a grant from the county for Westchester Children's Museum Program. I do not have any details on that, and they were hoping Buchanan would get involved. But I'll find out the details, get back to the board. But I think probably the best thing would be to direct them to the library, since the library has so many, different programs. Because otherwise, we'd have to open up the building and do different things. And just to mark your calendars, Thursday, the 9/11 ceremony, Croton is the host community this year, and it will be at 4 PM.
That's all the way down at the end of that Croton Landing part?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's all I have for now. Well, Wilda, do you have anything?
I do,
this
but it's
evening?
for executive session.
Oh, okay, yes, we have to go into exec session, yes. Steve, what do you have, anything?
No, nothing tonight, thank you.
Okay. Dan, do you have anything for us?
Yeah, so ran into Colin Smith, our Westchester County Board of Legislators for our district, and they are running an event on August the 6th, which is a Wednesday from 5 to 8 p.m. It's called AVWAR, Wings of Legacy. It's a community event honoring the past and building the future. Join us for a powerful evening of remembrance, inspiration, and community. We're commemorating the legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen, a group of American heroes who broke barriers and redefined excellence, and celebrating the grand opening of AVWAR Realty, which is the key sponsor for this. So there'll be a film. I guess there's going to be some refreshments, and it's going to be at the Central Firehouse, which is the new firehouse right in the middle of
okay.
Peekskill, which is 1141 Main Street. So that's Wednesday, August the 6th, from 5 to 8 p.m. And I told Colin that I would make sure we mentioned this at the meeting for him.
Good.
And admission is free.
Oh,
But they-
that's even
but-
better.
But they're expecting a crowd, so
Sounds interesting, too.
if
Do
you
you have
wanna
to
go?
register?
they're asking you to register to reserve a spot, and you can do that at avwarrealty.com.
May I see that? I'd just like to take a picture of it.
There we go.
Thank you.
All right.
Um,
And
And The only other thing I had was congratulations on Anthony and Steve and the entire Mount Carmel Society for a very successful feast.
Yes.
We went down as a board and presented some proclamations and some certificates, and just a nice event. And it's nice to see what a close-knit community we live in. So
It was great. I went on Sunday, it was great.
that's it. That's all I had.
And I just want to mention, they changed our district, so we have
Oh.
that
Emiliana.
Emiliana
Okay.
as our, Colin he must have thought, he got confused, but yeah, we got moved around.
That's
Got
right.
Taken out of the equation there
Yep.
somehow. Okay, whoops,
I'm sorry,
Marcus?
can you give this to
Just
Oops,
one,
sorry.
one item for executive.
Yes, Stephanie, do you have anything?
For well, hold on. Buchanan Engine Company, that's not for executive. The contract has been approved by me, so therefore it will be by you because I've sent it to you 5 times. We are just waiting on Tim to confirm it. And he apparently he was away for a week, and then he was, I don't know, in meetings for a couple of weeks. So I've sent him the last 3 days, the finals. So as soon as they are okay with it, we will make the motion and have you guys approve it and sign it, finally.
All right, good, good.
And I think
Making
they're-
progress.
Bringing all their paperwork over. and-
Paperwork sitting downstairs, everybody wants to take a look at it, yes.
It's going to be separated and put into folders, so whenever anybody wants to wander in, they can just check the folders. That'd be great.
Yeah, like the state. The other thing is, well, I had talked to you a little bit about the LoSAP program and the fact that people want to keep earning points after age 65. Your program is, what is it, 40 years or 30 years, and we have to... And there's one person that it involves right now, but there's a couple other coming up the line, right? You can amend the program, but you have to have a mandatory referendum. So you put it on for the election, because, and we'd have the figures, it's $20 more per month that they could continue to earn until retirement age. But I think I also told you that if you have a mandatory referendum and the public says no, the EEOC will shortly follow
With a lawsuit.
with a lawsuit, because that's what they're doing, saying that's age discrimination. And I can't get the two together and
Doesn't
what's
make
going
sense.
on.
Yeah.
The EEOC has actually been doing it for quite some time. But, and I'm not sure that people would vote no, but how do you have a mandatory referendum and then say no? Oh,
Say
you
no
guys
to
don't want to
your
do it, we're doing it
residents that-
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm still struggling with this everywhere I can. I've called the EEOC like 6 times. They have this phone number and it says, if you're an attorney, leave your message. Well, I've left it like 12 times. They don't
That's
care if you're an attorney or
insane.
not.
No.
So I have been researching it, and and it's random. You know, I've never seen one that I can find where they had a mandatory referendum and people said yes. Said no when they went
no.
after them. Nobody had one. So they keep going after these. So it's a glitch. And it bothers me especially because you got to follow the law and have a mandatory referendum, but people might not want to pay that. They might say, that's enough.
And we're held accountable.
And you're held accountable.
That's like the gray area.
And they fine you, and they fine you a lot of money.
That's
It's not
not
like
fair.
$25 a day, it's thousands of dollars.
But yeah, we have to put it
Wow.
out for a vote.
But yeah, you have to.
And
So
if
the
they
state
say
and the
no,
EOC are
that's
not
not
in
fair.
Then you're
sync.
still,
You're still in trouble.
you're in a no-win situation.
And I
on
looked
this
over the
whole
past
thing.
few years, if anybody's had it on in committee, they don't even know about it.
Well,
It's
maybe,
kinda like-
our representatives needs to be pointed
Yeah.
out to them,
Yeah.
Senator
And you've got some
Harkman
time because-
and Dana Levenberg.
I was
Maybe
surprised
it's
that-
one of those things that just, slipped past them or something.
I still think you're
don't
better
know.
off doing the mandatory referendum.
Oh, absolutely,
And
you
having
should.
people, if they say no, the EEOC comes in, and we followed the state law. I mean, we're better off than not doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So then we would just do that for, and I think that, yeah, it's one of
Nothing
these
simple.
things. And I
No,
waste so much
never.
time on this stuff because I'm like, it can't be. There's something wrong. It's got to be a law. It's got to be somewhere I'm not looking. No, it's nowhere.
Oh, boy.
And you're going to call, did you speak to Eric? You're going to speak to Eric.
I am, and I did.
Oh, good.
And I did,
So-
and I am.
No,
So,
but, and he's going to do the call or the email down county?
yeah.
We're
yeah.
talking about CVAC.
Well, we're gonna, yeah.
Got to change the
we're
call
gonna-
card, so what they're called out
Yeah.
for, what they're toned out for.
Yep.
But I was told that it's probably Eric should do it since he's the one requesting how we get toned out. and which would be, they'll be toned out for lift assists, and then when requested by
Well,
CVAC.
requested, yeah.
So, once they change that,
Good.
we're good. But right now, they're still being called out for everything, so. We
Right.
probably should get that. But I'm just waiting for Tim to say, yeah, my people are okay with it. Bob Wheeler called me twice and said, everybody's okay with it, but I can't. I gotta wait for the attorney to tell me.
Okay.
So that's it. That's all I have.
So any comments from the floor? No.
Mayor, I just have one other
Eileen?
Oh,
thing.
sure, Dan, yeah, go ahead.
I know we brought it up at the last meeting or workshop in relation to maybe forming some kind of a committee amongst the board or whatever to start talking to Holtec about possibilities of,
Does she have to be-
data centers or small modular reactors over there or whatever. I think, I don't want to be late to the boat on that. I think we should,
No, the SMRs are, they definitely want them. The only, the situation with the small modular reactors over at Indian Point is that they don't come online commercially until 2030. As we're talking about the rezoning over there, so we have to kind of get back on track with that. As we're talking about the rezoning over there, each one of the small modular reactors takes about 40 acres. So they're not the sticking point. The sticking point is the state and the anti-nuclear people. But I believe the governor has kind of gotten the idea, especially if you're talking about data centers, Dan, they take a tremendous amount of energy.
Yep.
And the solar and renewables are not going to fuel them. And I think the governor's got the picture that all of that is good for New York. I'm not saying nuclear. I think she's kind of got the picture that it's necessary and we really need it. It's just getting approval to bring it back on the property, but, that's going to be an ongoing issue. But yeah, I'd like to get back to the rezoning there. But yeah, it's something we got to keep moving forward on.
squeaky wheel always gets the oil, so I think
Absolutely.
we constantly need to be in their ear, and I think the sooner the better.
And out of necessity, the renewables didn't go where they thought they were going to go. They had to use gas-fired plants. They had to put those new gas-fired plants up. And I think people are getting the picture how important nuclear is. And then when they closed the plant, the electric cars weren't big. So now you see, there's grants for electric cars, where you can get so much for each electric car. I wonder if they'll give you a grant for the $28,000 battery that has to be replaced when it's no good. But anyhow, so it's just a lot going on with that. But I think the state is getting a clearer picture that nuclear is very important, and also for the security of this country, you need base power. You need reliable base power. So, and as the AI and all that stuff comes out and continues to grow, you're going to need a lot of power for those places. So
Yep.
I think eventually, I hope in my lifetime I get to see it. I'd like to see, that go back live there, because we have all the transmission lines and we have the switch yard right across the street. So you have the infrastructure for it to ready to go. So, but yes, Dan, yeah, that's something the board and the community is going to have to continue to push forward so that we can see that over there again.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so if there's no other comments, questions, or concerns, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session for negotiations and will it fit on? And personnel. Okay. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and have a great Buchanan day.